Hey everybody, welcome to this A2 English listening practice video. So today I'm going to talk about neighborhoods. I think this is an interesting topic because neighborhoods look and function differently in different countries. Especially, I want to talk about American neighborhoods. And even more especially, I want to focus on residential neighborhoods such as the shepherd. In the US, I would say that most people have the goal to eventually live in a house in a resident neighborhood. Sure, some people prefer living in apartment in the city, but I still think that most people still want to buy a house someday when they have enough money. So living in a house in a suburb is very common in the US. I spent my whole childhood living in residential areas in Southern California. So I have a lot of experience in this type of neighborhoods. So what are some of the distinct elements of American neighborhoods? First of all, there are pretty distinct American style of house. Our house often have triangular roofs. European seen this in movies and TV shows. American house also have a garage and driveway, a front yard, and a backyard. House in other countries might not have all these different elements, but in the US these features are already popular. What's interesting for some foreigners is that in the US house often don't have fence in their front yard. This means what when you are in your front yard you can easily see and interact. This might seem uncomfortable, but it does help neighborhood be friendly with each other. However, in backyard, there are always fences already. This area is a little more private. Kids normally play in their backyard, front yard, or in the street if the neighborhood isn't that busy. Typically, recently neighborhoods are pretty safe in the US, so kids can play outside without parents worrying too much. But parents do need to keep an eye on their kids just to be safe. For kids, it's really common to make friends with the other kids in the neighborhood. I remember when I was growing up that I always played with my neighborhood. I actually became good friend with them. In other countries, it's common to see children playing soccer in the street in different neighborhoods. But in the US, it's more common to see kids playing on the sport again. Now let's talk a little bit about being a good neighborhood. In the US, it's really important to have respect for your neighbors. For example, it's not acceptable to play really loud music or have loud parties at night. If you do this after 10 p.m., your neighborhood will probably call the police. This is extremely common in the US because police actually respond to this noise complaint. They show up at the house, tell you be quiet or you be. Also, in many neighborhoods, you are expected to maintain your house and front yard well. People don't like it when their neighbor's house or front yard look early or neglected. It can actually make the neighborhood house less valuable. On the other hand, one of the three things about residential neighborhoods in the US is that traditionally people are friendly and helpful in these type of areas. For example, if you move to the suburbs, it's very common for your neighbors to bring you over some homemade food and welcome you to the neighborhood. Also, people help each other out in these neighborhoods. For instance, if you go on vacation, it's common to ask your neighbors to keep an eye on your house and even water your plants or things. The sense of community is definitely a big positive of living in residential neighborhoods in the US. Alright, now I'm going to ask you some questions about today's video to see how well you understood.